Stardew Valley creator Eric Barone casually announced a future 1.7 update on one of the recent Symphony of Season concerts. Shortly after, he confirmed his statement on Twitter, followed by a blog post on his Haunted Chocolatier website. This is not gonna be just any update, but another major one, which is kind of crazy considering it's been only about a year and a half since the free 1.6 update launched. Hello everyone and welcome back to another Stardew video. It's been quite a while since I made a video about this game, but ever since this announcement, it got me thinking, what would I like to see in a 1.7 Stardew Valley update? Let's talk about it. So this first point might seem a bit random to some people, but it's something that has been bothering me for a while now. I'm talking about the Wilderness Farm. Did you even know this map existed? Because I can guarantee you that the majority of people watching this never played on this farm before, myself included. Now in case you're not so familiar with the game, let me give you a quick rundown. There are 8 different maps to choose from when you're in the character creator, and most of these encourage you to focus on one specific skill. So for example, the standard layout has lots of space for farming, Riverlands has, well, lots of rivers for fishing. A personal favorite of mine is the Forest Farm, which has regrowable hardwood stumps and natural forage spawns. And then we have the Wilderness Farm, which was designed to benefit your combat skill as it has monster spawns at night. Unfortunately, this became kind of redundant with the 1.5 Ginger Island update back in 2020, which made it possible to enable monster spawns on every single farm map, taking away the only unique feature from the Wilderness Farm. I know there is the Wilderness Golem that is exclusive to this specific farm, but let's be honest here, would you really start a new save just to encounter this one specific enemy? Because I know I wouldn't. And it's such a shame because the Wilderness Farm has a really beautiful layout. Not a huge fan of the giant pond in the middle, that could be a bit smaller, but other than that, I love the design of this. The starter house also looks a bit more unique compared to the other ones, and you have the farm cave relatively close to your home. So overall, this is a solid map. I'm not entirely sure myself how I would go on making this farm more interesting to other people, but maybe adding more exclusive enemies. Or maybe you could get a forest sword in a free chest once you start playing, like the free fish smoker we get now when playing on the Riverlands farm. I don't know, but it needs something because as it is right now, I don't ever see myself playing here. Next up, I would like the community center to be more relevant, and the same applies if you decide to go for the Georgia Community Project instead. Stardew Valley doesn't have a storyline, but the community center is kind of like the main focus for the majority of your playthrough. Once you actually complete it, you will get a cutscene, the Stardew Hero trophy from Lewis, and that's about it. The building is never brought up again and remains unused as before. I know there are a few villagers that do actually visit the place once it's restored. I believe that includes Robin, Emily, and Clint will take the whole day off and just stare at the furnace inside the boiler room. But other than that, it's not used for anything, and I really don't know why. We spent several seasons, maybe even years, trying to help the Junimos and rebuild this place. But for what? The most popular mod for Stardew, being the Expanded mod, adds a mini festival after finishing the community center called Community Day, where every single villager will be present inside the building, and I'd love to have something like this in the main game. This doesn't count as an actual festival day, so you can visit whenever you want to, and this is such a great opportunity to hand out gifts and to chat with everyone. It's nothing crazy, but a small addition like that would go a long way. Kids should be more useful. That sounds wrong, but hear me out. I don't think it's a hot take to say that children are very underwhelming in this game. That's also why I almost never end up having any. Aside from attending festivals, and I guess you can also place hats on them, they don't really do anything. I would love if they could grow up a little bit more and then help around the farm, same as your spouse sometimes feeds the animals or waters the crops. I think it would be cool if your kids could collect produce from auto grabbers, or go out and find forage or fish like the pets do. The more hearts you have with them, the more they can do. I think this would add a lot more immersion to the game instead of them just running around inside the house all day, despite it being year 20. We need older romance options. This is something I've seen people talk about for many years. Most bachelors and bachelorettes are young adults in their 20s, with the exception of Harvey, who could be in his 30s, maybe in his early 40s, but that's a wide stretch. Now for me, this is not so relevant at the time, but I can definitely see myself still playing this game in, I don't know, 20 years from now on. And by then, I most certainly don't want to date a teenager, and I'm sure there's a lot of other people who feel the same way. I'd love to have Gus, maybe Marnie, because let's be real here, Lewis doesn't deserve her, the wizard, or even Willy as a romance option. And since we're talking about the different villagers, why not make Gunther, Marlon, or even Morris befriendable NPCs? It's always so strange coming back after playing with the expanded mod for a while, as all 3 of them are actually regular villagers in that mod, and Morris is even romanceable. A few quality of life improvements that I would like to see in the next update include a prompt for gifting. I can't even tell you how many times I gifted a random flower that I just picked up to a villager simply because I wanted to chat with them. You automatically gift any item that you're holding while talking, excluding your tools. And gifting any disliked or even hated item is quite unforgiving in this game, as you're limited to only 2 gifts per week. Let me have a setting where I can toggle on and off automatic gift giving. A radius that shows the range for sprinklers, scarecrows, and Junimo huts. Once again, this is a feature that I saw from another mod, being the UI info suite, and this would be an amazing addition to the game. Here's a couple of ideas for some items in the game that I feel like need a little bit more love. First off, we have the hopper. I don't think I ever used this before. Ever. I craft it in every single one of my playthroughs because it's needed for perfection, and then I immediately put it in one of my chests and never look at it again. So the hopper recipe is unlocked from Mr. G's walnut room for 50 key gems. And the recipe itself is also very demanding, being 10 hardwood, 1 iridium, and 1 radioactive bar. Yikes. Essentially, what it does, you can place the hopper behind any machine and it will load items automatically into it. Now in theory, that sounds great. However, the hopper will not load any more items unless you manually remove the finished product. I had to test this myself because, again, I never used this before, and you can load multiple items into the hopper, like coal and iron for the furnace, but again, you still have to take out the finished bar so that the hopper can load the next batch. Why? Why doesn't it just take the finished materials? Or maybe add a reverse hopper that automatically collects the finished items from the machines. I don't know, but as it is right now, it's really not that useful, which is a shame considering that this is a late game crafting recipe. Next up is the tent and the cookout kit. Again, 2 items that I'm willing to bet a lot of people never used before. The tent is great for Ginger Island if you haven't built the farmhouse or unlocked the warp totem. You can just whip it up and sleep in it for a single night. After that, it will be permanently destroyed. And the same applies for the cookout kit. I don't mind the single-use item. I mean, you can use the cookout kit multiple times in a single day, but I would like if both of these items would stay in place so that we can still be able to use them for decoration. The tent especially, as I just really enjoy how it looks. The last item is actually not an item, but rather a building type. That is the golden clock. If you reach perfection before, then you know how much grinding it takes for this single building. 10 million gold to be precise. This is no simple task by any means, and to be honest, for that amount of money, I think this building is a little underwhelming. Don't get me wrong, not having to worry about debris spawning and preventing fences from decaying is cool and all, but is that really all I get for 10 million gold? Now Sal actually had a really nice addition to this in his 1.7 wishlist video, where he mentioned to have an option where trees will not spread on your farm, and I like that a lot. This is very specific and might not be that useful to a lot of other people, but I think it fits with the other 2 quirks the clock has. But personally, I really just want to have another design option. I know it's called the golden clock and not the multicolored one, but man, this thing is so ugly. I hate the design of it. And I feel the same way about the obelisks. Back in 2024, when I finished my very first perfection run on the Riverlands farm, I was struggling so much with space. You need to purchase all 4 of the individual obelisks, and besides costing a buttload of money, each of them takes up a 3x2 tile area. That's a lot of space if you're playing on one of the smaller maps. I do really enjoy the designs of them, but I think they could be a little smaller and, more importantly, shorter. So for this last part, I'm gonna rapid fire some minor nitpicks and smaller changes that don't need a lot of explaining. I want my own birthday. We go out of our way to befriend every single townie and hand out the most perfect gift on their birthdays. So why can I not have my own special day? Please, for the love of God, let me sell my weapons and the million trinkets that I've been hoarding in the shipping bin. Why do I have to run all the way to the Adventure Guild just to sell my combat-related items? I don't get it. I'd like to see actual bridges on the farm, and not those shabby old planks which are everywhere on the Riverlands map. I want an option for your spouse, children and pets to visit the Ginger Island farm. We unlock this beautiful hidden paradise on a remote island, but the player is the only person who is allowed to visit this place. And there are a few dialogue lines where your spouse will mention the Ginger Island farm. They can hang around the beach, so why not go to the house that is 2 meters away? Let me place hats on turtles. Also, let turtles be able to swim in water. Maybe even make that exclusive to the beach farm. That could be fun. Sprinklers fill your pet's watering bowl. More horse colors. We have different colored cats, dogs, and even turtles. Why not the horse? And there we go, this is my wish list for 1.7. Obviously, I'd love to have a brand new area, more crops, maybe even new fruit trees, but I really wanted to focus on quality of life stuff and things that already exist in the game. Because at the end of the day, I have no idea what's gonna be added to the game. Before I go, I do want to point out that whatever we do end up getting, I will be grateful for it. 1.7 is going to be another free update, just like any other before, so this is not me demanding things. I'm simply brainstorming ideas and thinking out loud. And on that note, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts as well. What are your hopes for 1.7? What would you like to see next? Feel free to leave a comment down below, I read every single one and also reply to most of them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.